going on, guys? John Elder here from Kivy.com, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to use the Postgres database for your apps with Kivy and Python. All right, guys, like I said, in this video, we're going to look at using the Postgres database. But before we get started, if you like this video and want to see more like it, be sure to smash the like button below, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm, and check out Kivy.com, where I have dozens of courses with hundreds of videos that teach you to code. Use coupon code YouTube1 to get $30 off memberships on my courses, videos, and books for one-time fee at just $49, which is insanely cheap. Okay, in the last video, we set up this app using MySQL. In this video, we're going to convert it to Postgres. I'm also going to show you how to use Postgres in the cloud using Heroku for web hosting. So we're going to set all that up in this video. It's actually very easy. And I actually talked about how to do this in Kinter last week. We're going to do basically the same thing. So if you saw that video, it's going to be very similar to this video, but of course, a few little differences because this is Kivy and that's that. So let's head back over to our code. I'm using the Sublime Text Editor and the Get Bash terminal as always. And as always, you can find a link to the code in the pinned comment section below, as well as a link to the playlist with all the other Kivy videos in this series. So check that out if you haven't so far. So I've got this file. This is the same file we were working on in the last video. If you didn't see that video, check the link in the playlist to find that. I've just renamed it Postgres_DB, and our Kivy file is Postgres_DB.kv. Otherwise, this is the same exact file. And the first thing I'm going to do is come down here to where we reference our Kivy file. I'm going to change this from second_DB to Postgres. Okay, and then obviously we don't need the MySQL connector, so we'll get rid of that. Like I said, we're going to use Postgres in this video, but we're going to use it up in the cloud. So I'm not going to download and install Postgres on my local computer. We're just going to push this online immediately because most of the time you're going to want to use an online database anyway, and it's just easier to do it that way than installing Postgres on your computer. So we are actually going to have to download the Heroku CLI, which is the command line interface. That's the thing that allows our terminal to talk to Heroku. And Heroku is a hosting service that I like. You can use any hosting service. It'll be a little bit different for each one, obviously, but I like Heroku because there's a free version that we can use, and that's what we're going to be using for this video. Now, the free version of Postgres on Heroku, I believe, resets itself every night. So anything you stick in there gets emptied out at the end of the day. So if you want to use it persistently, you have to pay for that. But there's very cheap options if you want. But just for learning, we can learn for free. So let's head over to Google very, very quickly and just type in Heroku CLI. And CLI stands for Command Line Interface. Here it is. And it's just a little thing you have to download for Mac, Linux, or Windows. Go ahead and if you're on Windows, click the 64-bit installer, download and install that. I'm not going to do that in this video. I've already got it installed on my computer. If you need help with that, check my playlist. There's tons of videos. I've done this several times throughout the years. So I'm sure you can find an example of me doing it, but it's basically you just download it, click it once to install it, and it will install itself. Very easy. Now, once you do that, you're going to have to close your terminal. So come up here, click the little X, completely close it, restart it again for the effects to take effect, right? So the next thing we need to do is pip install a little connector for Postgres. This will allow our Python file to connect to a Postgres database. Well, let me clear the screen here, and we just want to go pip install psycopg2, PSYCOPG2, Psycho Postgres 2. I've already got this, so it says you've already got it, but it will install on yours. So, okay, so far so good. Now we need to log into Heroku. So to do that, you just type in Heroku login, assuming you installed that CLI thing, and click any button, hit the enter. It will pop up a little web browser, and then it'll ask you for your credentials. Now, I've already logged in, so it's not asking me for mine. All I have to do is click this button. But for you, most likely, you'll have to type in your username and password. If you don't have a username and password for Heroku, go ahead and sign up. It's completely free. Now, they used to ask for a credit card in order to confirm your account. I don't know if they still do that or not, but if they do, don't worry. They're not going to charge you anything. We're just going to use the free services for this, and they're not going to mess with your credit card. They're a legit company, so you don't have to worry about that. So, okay. So now when we come back to our terminal, you'll see it says logged in, and now it's kind of just hanging. Hit the Control and the C key on your keyboard at the same time to break out of there, and you should be good. So now we're going to be using the Postgres database on Heroku, but in order to use that, you have to add it to an app that you've already created. Now, we're not actually going to use the Heroku app itself. We're going to use our Kivy app on our local computer, but we still have to create an app on Heroku in order to connect a Postgres database to it that we can then use from our Kivy app. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go Heroku create, and this will create an app. There it is. Now, kind of copy this, and I'm gonna just copy it and slap it into the web browser real quick, just so that we remember the name of it, because we're gonna need the name of it in just a second. Okay, so now let's head back over to our code, and we need to modify this code to make sure that it works with Postgres. There's not many changes we need to make, but there are a few. So the first thing, instead of our MySQL connector up here, we need to import that psycopg2. So, okay. Now down here, instead of calling this MyDB, I'm going to call this con because I don't know, that makes more sense. And I'm just going to come through here real quick and find all those instances and update them. I guess we could have kept the same name, but I don't know. I like con better. I do MyDB for MySQL, and we're not using MySQL anymore, so I don't know, whatever. Let's come through here real quick. There's just a few of them. Okay, so that's good. Next, we need to play around with this connector. So the first thing is it's not a MySQL connector, it's a psycopg connector. And then it's not a .connector, it's just a psycopg2.connect, right? Now this stuff is also going to be different. So we still need a host. Let me just get rid of all these and retype this. We also need a database, set that equal to something. We're going to need a user, set that equal to something. We're going to use a password. And remember with the MySQL is PASSWD. Here it's the actual word, password. And we also need to designate a port. So we get this information from Heroku itself. So let's head back over to the web browser. And remember, here's the name of our app, Fierce Plateau something. So you need to come back over to Heroku, log into your account, and find that app. So you likely only have one listed here. You can see I've got pages and pages. So we've got to sort of come through here and let's see, Fierce Plateau, there it is. So go ahead and click on that. And you'll notice installed add-ons. We don't have any listed. We need to actually now add a Postgres add-on. And I think you could do that here, but we could also just do it from the terminal. So let's do that. It's a little bit easier. So here we just type in Heroku. And I should mention, we've got our virtual environment turned on in our C Kivy MD directory. You always need to have your virtual environment turned on. So the command here to add Postgres is Heroku add-ons :create. And this is going to be Heroku-Postgres CQL, right? And then we want to designate this as a hobby/dev version. So the hobby/dev is the free version. That's what we want. If you wanted a paid version, you could check the website to see what thing you're paying for, what level you're paying for, and it'll tell you what to do there. So we just want the free version. So that's hobby-dev. So hit enter, boom, boom, boom. It's adding it to our Fierce Plateau, and that looks good. So now head back over to this website here, hit reload, and boom, now we see Heroku Postgres right there. So go ahead and click on this, and we need to get the settings here. So click on settings, and then come down here to database credentials. That's what we need, the credentials. So let's view these guys. And this is all that stuff we need for our connector. So here's the host. Go ahead and copy this, head back over, and boom, that goes there. The next thing we need is the database. So the database is right here. It's the name of it there. So come back here. Now we need the user. So that's this guy. Okay. Now we also need the password. That's this guy, this big long thing. There we go. And then finally we need the port. And that's usually 5432. So we can add that. Now I'll mention this password, if we're going to push our code up to GitHub, this password will be public. So keep that in mind. You don't want your password to be public, because if people have the password, they can do anything they want to this database. So if you're going to push this to a public repository, I recommend using an environmental variable here. I'm not going to talk about that in this video, but you can Google it. It's fairly straightforward. Or instead of pushing this to a public repository, just push it to a private repository, right? GitHub offers private repositories for free. Switch it to private, no problems. So just for the sake of this, I don't care that people are going to get this password. So I'm just going to leave it like that. Okay, so we've got this. Now we need to take this, and remember we've got this connection in several functions. So down here is the first one for our submit function. And then here's one for our show records. So paste that in there. I think that's it. So, okay, good to go there. So now we just need to tinker with this stuff a little bit. And there's not a lot we need to do, but there is a little bit here. So in the last video, we created a database. We actually don't have to create a database. we have to just create a table. So it's more like SQLite 3 in that regard. So let's come down here and create table. If not exists, let's call this customers. And let's give this a name. And it's not varchar, it's text. That's how Postgres deals with this stuff, right? So here we go. Slap a little semicolon there, and that should work. You could also put this all on one line if you wanted to. We've only got one thing here, so it's a little silly, but okay, that looks like that should work. We're committing and closing. All right, here to actually submit a thing, I think we can keep all of this the same. This code is the same in Postgres as it is in MySQL, I believe. And let's see, down here to show, again, this is the same for MySQL as it is in Postgres, so we don't have to make any changes there. So, okay, that looks good. I think this should work. So let's go ahead and save this, head back over to our terminal. And this is Python Postgres_db.py. And so far, so good. No errors. Let's try to add a name, John. And before I add this, let's head back over to the website real quick. And we can come back here to overview. And you'll see there are no rows, no connections, no tables, nothing. Now there's one table because the thing just ran. There we go. But let's go ahead and submit a name. John is added. Let's show the record. And boom, John shows up. So now let's go Tina. Let's try it again. Submit another name. Tina is added. Let's show the records, John and Tina. That's cool. Now if we head back over here, hit reload, we see there's one table and now there's two rows because we have two records that we've added. So you can sort of get a snapshot of it from here. That's kind of cool if you want to look at something like that. But we don't really care right now. We just want to sort of play around with this. Let's go Steve, submit a name. And you notice there's a bit of a lag when we hit the button. That's because it's connecting to it online. And it takes, a split second depending on how fast your internet is. And but it seems to work. So that's how to use Postgres with your Kivy apps. Very, very simple, very similar to MySQL and SQLite 3. The only real difference is this stuff is a little bit different. And some of the syntax for doing SQL and Postgres is slightly different here and there. But, we added a text instead of a varchar, that sort of thing. But that's just a Postgres thing. Otherwise, it's, very similar to doing the other things. And we didn't have to install Postgres on our computer. Very easy. This is completely free. And a lot of fun. So that's all for this video. If you liked it, be sure to smash the like button below, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm, and check out Codemy.com where you can use coupon code YouTube1 to get $30 off memberships. I pay just $49 to access all my courses, over 47 courses, hundreds of videos, and the PDFs of all my best-selling coding books. Join over 150,000 students learning to code just like you. My name is John Elder from Codemy.com, and I'll see you in the next video.